Good evening, I'm Jose Cardenas. Tonight on Horizonte, learn about one Arizona program recognized as a bright spot in Hispanic education by a White House and Education Initiative. And in Sounds of Cultura SOC, we'll talk about the Arizona opera season, which includes the first Spanish opera commissioned in the U.S. and one comic operetta performance. All this coming up next on Horizonte.
Funding for Horizonte is made possible by contributions by the Friends of Eight, members of your Arizona PBS station.
Thanks for joining us. The White House Initiative on Educational Excellence for Hispanics highlighted 230 programs across the country as bright spots for investing in key education priorities affecting the Hispanic community. 10 programs in Arizona were recognized as bright spots, 5 of which are partners of the Helios Education Foundation. Joining us to talk about Abriendo Puertas, Opening Doors. One of the programs receiving national attention is Veronica Peña, Chicanos por la Causa Abriendo Puertas statewide project coordinator. Welcome to Horizonte, Veronica.
Thank you.
So this is a pretty significant recognition. Tell us when it happened and what its significance is.
Actually on September 15th, in just last month. And we were recognized because there are a number of programs reaching specifically the Latino population, enhancing parents' leadership and advocacy skills, and looking to change the statistics, the graduation statistics for Latinos here in Arizona, and Abriendo Puertas does that nationally.
And we noted in the introduction that this is a partnership between Helios Foundation and Chicanos por la Causa, CPLC. When did that begin and what's involved there?
The program actually initiated in June of 2014. It was a 2-year initiative. We scheduled our first training here in Phoenix with the Chicanos por la Causa Migrant Seasonal Head Start program. And we moved from there to Yuma, and from Yuma to Tucson, from Tucson to Phoenix, and then to Flagstaff. Our goal was to have statewide trained implementers for the Abriendo Puertas curriculum.
And what are you teaching these folks? As I understand it, you've been involved in various initiatives over the years in your career, but this one's different, and I think you think more successful than others.
Yes, it's unique in that it was written in Spanish initially, and parents participated in giving the feedback about the content and as well as the process. And so it's a popular education model, which means that the parent is not a participant but is a teacher, and at the same time that they are learning. So what the strengths that the parents bring into the program are what the curriculum uses to build skills. And
it's a curriculum for parents to use in developing the reading skills of their preschool children?
Yes. The Abriendo Puertas curriculum is a 10-session program. The first couple of sessions encourage parents to take ownership of their role as the child's first teacher and their home as the most influential school. And basically the goal is to walk parents through the developmental process for children. What happens, how can they support their children in learning? Probably the most important thing that Abriendo Puertas does is demystifies this whole process of how do you get your child from first grade through high school through college. Knowing that 3rd grade is the marker of success. Children move from learning how to read to reading in order to learn. And so we try to inform parents. We don't try to inform parents. We inform parents that reading begins very early in the child's life. As a matter of fact, we pose that question to the families and we say, when should you start teaching your child to read? And we suggest that it's while the child is still in the womb that you begin this process of teaching children to learn and to appreciate reading and learning.
And you teach them not only how to interact with their children, but as I understand it, also advocacy skills. Advocacy
skills is a critical component of this. And I actually have taught the curriculum for many years, and it does a really good job of foundationally introducing the concepts of child development and the last session, session 9, talks about the process in the U.S., specifically about the Mendez family and the first civil rights effort that they made in 1946 in a school in California. So it talks, then it takes them through how does that happen? What does it take for you to advocate for your child? What your rights are, and then exactly how you can do that. And it demystifies the steps of knowing your rights, knowing how you can advocate for yourself. We had a specific success story that I thought was really great with Chicanos por la Causa specifically. We had a mom who shared with our evaluator her story, and she said that initially she had no desire to participate in programs and started participating and tried her skills out at the school, and then they had a storm, a major storm in Yuma, a rainstorm, and she didn't ask anybody to go advocate for her. She went directly to the city to advocate for herself because now she knew the steps and she knew that she had a voice and that she could take the steps to get her needs met and her community's needs met. So that's
evidence
kind of
that works. And speaking of evidence, I've read some of the materials. It describes this program as evidence-based. What does that mean?
Evidence-based means that you've actually done some rigorous evaluation. And so Abriendo Puertas evaluated using pre and post tests, field studies, both qualitative and quantitative data to determine whether parents were actually learning what they intended for parents to learn and whether they were gaining knowledge and if that knowledge was informing the way that they thought and then the way that they acted. And the popular education model that this program is based on is actually set up to facilitate an action reflection praxis. Paulo Freire has been the person who's been given the credit for developing this, but what Abriendo Puertas did that works really well is that they broke it into several steps, 4 steps, where they give information. Parents hear a lot of information, but they don't know what it means, so you walk the parents through reflecting on the information, then analyzing the information, and through that analysis you gain awareness, and through that awareness then you're able to build actions that will specifically address the information that you just received. For example, if your son can't read in 3rd grade, that's the information. You reflect on that information. What am I doing to make sure that my child can read? And you move from there to analyzing the steps you're taking. That awareness leads you to take different actions, and
so there's a lot of information going both ways.
Yes,
and we had on the screen a website address for people to get more information. And thank you so much for joining us on Horizonte to talk about.
Thank you for having me.
Arizona Opera's 2015-16 season includes the comic operetta Arizona Lady and Florencia en el Amazonas, the first Spanish opera commissioned in the U.S. We'll talk about these performances in a moment, but first take a look at what you can expect to see in Arizona Lady. Now, joining me to talk about these performances are Joshua Bors, Florencia en el Amazonas stage director, as well as Arizona Opera's education manager, and Octavio Moreno, who portrays Lopez Ibanez in Arizona Lady, and also starred in last season's mariachi opera, Cruzar la Cara de la Luna. Thank you both for joining us on Horizonte. Joshua, first, last year's performance, Cruzar, was part of the Arizona Opera's efforts to reach out to the Hispanic community. Arizona Bold.
Yeah,
Talk about that.
Arizona Bold is our artistic commitment to doing pieces that are relevant to Arizonans. We believe that we're not just Arizona Opera, but Arizona's opera. And so we found that there are all these pieces, this entire repertoire that really connects to our very diverse population here and to the stories of Arizona. And so we launched it with the mariachi opera, which was a huge success for us. And then we're continuing it this year with Arizona Lady, the only operetta that I know of that's actually set in Arizona, and then with Florencia en el Amazonas. So it's an exciting time at the opera, really expanding the repertoire and redefining what an opera company should be in the community.
Now, you said it was a resounding success, but did you get any reaction from people who say this is not opera?
You know, it's funny. There were a lot of people who were very suspicious when we announced that we were doing Cruzar, and afterwards, they were surprised that they enjoyed it so much and how operatic it really was, that music, mariachi, is really not that different from a Verdi aria. And there were a lot of people also who missed it, who then said, I'm so sad that I missed that performance. Building a lot of energy and excitement around the opera, which is really a community organization.
And what about the Hispanic population? Did you have a lot of people who hadn't previously been introduced to opera?
We had a lot of people who'd never been inside Symphony Hall before. And one of the more exciting things was that then they came back, you know, and our audiences diversified, and then they enjoyed Rigoletto by Verdi last season. And we're hoping to continue that momentum and keep audiences exploring new pieces and keep bringing new people to the opera who never thought they would like it.
Octavio, as we mentioned, you were in Cruzar, and we've got a picture of you actually with a guitar singing, much like in the introduction that we had here. You've been in opera for a number of years. Just give us a thumbnail sketch of your career.
Well, I did my bachelor in music with a specialization in voice back in the Universidad de Sonora in Hermosillo, Mexico. And then I got a fellowship at the Academy of Vocal Arts in Philadelphia. I was there for 3 years, and then I was a member of the Houston Grand Opera Studio for 2 years. And well, speaking of mariachi and opera, I actually started taking voice lessons when I got into the university because I wanted to sing mariachi, not opera, but the old-fashioned way, like Javier Solís and Jorge Negrete, people who studied opera voice.
Two famous icons in Mexican music.
Yes, exactly, and that's the old-fashioned way. That's the way I liked it. And eventually, my voice teacher was an opera singer, and he started giving me opera songs and then opera arias, and I just fell in love, and then I just started doing opera only. And suddenly, when I was in the Houston Grand Opera Studio, Anthony Froy, who was the general director, asked me if there was any mariachi opera, and then later on, little that I knew, I was going to have both my loves on stage, mariachi and opera all together.
And what's your assessment of how successful that was?
Well, we've been in many different cities, many different opera houses in the States, like Chicago Lyric, San Diego, Arizona, Houston Grand, and we've been to Paris, and some other opera houses are interested in taking Cruzar to it. And it was such a big success that later on, when we were in Chicago, the general director of the Chicago Lyric Opera put Mr. Pepe Martinez, who was the composer, and Lenny Foley, who was the writer, on the spot on a conference, and he made them promise to write the second one, which we premiered this past March at the Chicago Lyric. So there are two now out there. Yeah.
So let's talk about this next adventure, so to speak, Arizona Lady. You mentioned that it's the only one set in Arizona, but as I understand the history, it's not written by an Arizonan, and it was written actually around the, what, 1950s?
Yeah, it was written in 53, premiered in 1954, and the composer, Emrich Kálmán, is the most popular operatic composer in the world. And he was a Jewish-Hungarian composer who escaped Nazi Germany, lived in California, vacationed and traveled through Arizona, and when he returned to Europe after the war, wrote this operetta as a love letter to the state. So while the operetta itself is fun and effervescent and comedic and light and beautiful, underneath is this really human story as Kallman was really struggling with his time in the United States, and Arizona was this great light in that time for him.
And despite his reputation and his popularity, this one was kind of lost for decades.
Yeah, for many decades it was kind of just left in obscurity. And it was actually, it's been rediscovered recently. And our conductor, Kathleen Kelly, who also translated this piece into English and is an Arizona native, it's funny how all these things kind of come together. She was the first head of music, female head of music at the Vienna Staatsoper, or the Vienna State Opera. And she found this operetta in the archives called Arizona Lady. And our general director had heard of it before, and then we started working with the Kallman family to craft our own version of Kallman's rarely performed Arizona Lady.
Octavio, let's talk a little bit about Arizona Lady. We've got some video we're going to show while we're talking of one of the scenes, but give us a sense for the plot without giving anything away that might disappoint somebody who goes to see it. What's this about?
Well, it's pretty much about a lady who is actually Viennese. She's from Vienna, and she comes with her family to Arizona and trying to make up for the future and get money and stuff. And then when her father dies, she's left pretty much like in some sort of debt, and she's into horse racing. And
Arizona Lady is a horse, not an actual person, which is
exactly
exciting. Yeah.
Yes, which is this lady's horse. Her horse is the Arizona Lady, and then through horse racing, she meets this young cowboy that she likes very much. But meanwhile, the sheriff of the town where they live, it's in love with her, and he woos her. And I am a rich Mexican that moves into Arizona in that town.
And one of the people also wooing her.
Exactly, I woo her as well.
I think it's a love pentagon that you have with Lona.
Oh my God, it's like everybody wants Lona.
Yeah.
And and then there are two races in the show. She loses one, she wins one, and she ends up being happy in Arizona.
And it all has, the races have some ultimate impact on who wins her hand, as I understand it.
Ish. Like on the first one, when she loses, the sheriff bets against Arizona Lady, and he tells her, if Arizona Lady loses, then I win. I win your hand. I think the term he uses is right of first refusal, something like that. And
so they use the bets on the racehorses to try to gain the upper hand with Lona. Yes. And it's funny because Lona is a character who takes many risks on her horses, but very few in love, which is something I think a lot of people can relate to. You know, they love their jobs, they do that, but you know, the more emotional side of things, the love side of things can be a little more complicated and a little more touchy.
Now, Joshua, you mentioned some translation into English, but there's also some translation into Spanish by Alberto Rios.
Yeah, so this performance, they sing and speak and act in English, German, and Spanish. And when we were looking at creating our own version of Arizona Lady, one of the things that became very apparent was we had to bring the Spanish language into it. So Alberto Rios worked with Kathleen Kelly to translate parts of it, you know, things for Senor Ibanez, into Spanish. And so we have a really cool trilingual production with his help.
And when will this be shown?
It opens in Phoenix this Friday, Saturday, Sunday, so the October 16th, 17th, and 18th, down at Symphony Hall.
Octavio, you were in both Cruzar and you're in this one. Your sense for audiences, will they like this one as much as they did Cruzar?
Oh, definitely. Even though Cruzar is more like a drama and this is more like a comedy, but I guarantee you come to see this show and you're gonna forget about everything and be entertained for two and a half hours. It's a great show. It has a little bit of drama in it, but nevertheless, it's a fabulous comedy. It's very happy, very bright, and
very theatrical.
Very theatrical, yes. There are some sections becomes very much Mexican soap opera, very
the telenovela.
Exactly. Yeah. But it's just great. It's a great show. It's very, very, very funny. It's one of those shows that makes me want to not be in it and be actually watching it.
You want to watch it?
Yes.
Well, I'm sure your day will come. Let's talk about the other piece.
Yep.
Florencia en el Amazonas, a much different focus.
Yeah, it's very different. It's when I've been talking to people about it, it's based on the works of Gabriel Garcia Marquez. So it's really it's a serious Spanish language opera, elevating the highest level of art from Latin America. And it takes place on the Amazon River, and it's about a mystical journey that all the characters go on as they travel from Colombia to the Opera House in Manaus. And so if you've read Love in the Time of Cholera, 100 Years of Solitude, you get a sense for this score. And it's interesting because a lot of people...
Does it capture those elements of magical realism for which he was noted?
Yes. And actually the character of Florencia is looking for her long-lost lover, Cristobal, who's a butterfly hunter. And at the end, when they encounter cholera and aren't able to disembark, she turns into a butterfly because since she can't find him, maybe he can find her. And that's just one element of how the mystical and the magical kind of creep into the story.
Now, we mentioned in the introduction that it was the first Spanish language opera commissioned in the United States. When did that happen?
So this opera was commissioned and performed in 1996 at the Houston Grand Opera, where Cruzar also originated. And it has since kind of taken the world by storm. It's one of the most successful contemporary operas written, and I think part of that is because the score is so beautiful and so melodic. People think of new opera and they think of thorny new music, but it sounds like Puccini.
Well, and very elaborate costuming, as I understand. We've got some sketches of some of the costumes. You mentioned one of the characters turns into a butterfly at the end. How do you accomplish that?
Well, you'll have to come and see it to see how we actually do it, but I can tell you that it's a costume transformation. And our goal in designing this entire piece is to create a world unto itself, a world where magical things are possible and where anything can happen.
And if I were to go see it, when would I go see it?
You would see it in the middle of November. It opens November 11th here in Phoenix and then the following weekend in Tucson.
Octavio, how important is it to have opera? Now you come from an opera background in Mexico, but to have opera performed in Spanish in the United States?
Well, I think that at some level, language can be a barrier, not only in opera, but in many other different things. And when you submit the audience to the language that they can familiarize with, it's one less thing that they need to worry about. Speaking of people who's the first time they're coming to see an opera show in this case. So if you bring the language where they feel comfortable, they will definitely feel comfortable picking up every part of the story instead of looking at the screen trying to see what the translation means and then paying attention to the actor, paying attention to the singer, and then reading again. So it's not only in Spanish. In any country you go, when you put the opera or the show to the language that people speak, they feel comfortable and relate to it.
And Spanish also has the beauty of the great Italian operas, but it also has the emotion and the passion and kind of the very real quality to it of some other languages like German. So you kind of get best of both worlds in singing. Yes. In Spanish. It's a beautiful, beautiful language to sing.
Has Cruzar been performed in Spanish language countries?
No.
Hopefully it will.
I'm just wondering if you'd get a different reaction there than perhaps with the Hispanic population in the United States.
It's been only in the U.S. and Paris. But the French, they loved it. They loved it. They related too much. So, but French is, since it's as a romantic language, I find as a plurilingual singer, I find that when they have the same root, it relates easier. Like when I see French or Italian opera, I relate easier than German or English.
And it's also interesting because Cruzar was about immigration, and that's a story anyone can connect to. And all of the operas we do have that kind of universal quality to it.
And speaking of the work that you guys are doing, I know this is part of your outreach to the Hispanic community. That's what Arizona Bold is all about. What's coming up next? And we've got about 30 seconds left.
So with Florencia, we're doing a Latin American cultural festival that should be very exciting. And then working down the line, we have a major world premiere of a piece based on the life of Frida Kahlo and Diego Rivera. That will be very exciting. And this is just the beginning of bringing opera to Arizonans, about Arizona.
Well, it's all very exciting. Thank you both for joining us on Horizonte.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
To find out more information about what's on Horizonte, go to azpbs.org and click on the Horizonte tab at the top of the screen. There you can access many features to become a more informed Horizonte viewer. Watch interviews by clicking on the video button or by scrolling down to the bottom of the page for the most recent segments. Learn about more specific topics like arts and culture and immigration. You can also find out what's on Horizonte for the upcoming week. If you would like an RSS feed, a podcast, or you want to buy a video, that's all on our website too. Other features include our collection of website links and a special page for educators. While you're there, show your support for Horizonte with just one click. Discover all that's on Horizonte. Visit azpbs.org, Horizonte today.
And that is our show for tonight from all of us here at Horizonte and your Arizona PBS station. Thanks for watching. I'm Jose Cardenas. Have a good evening.
Funding for Horizonte is made possible by contributions by the Friends of 8, members of your Arizona PBS station.